Hello, everyone. So this is going to be something of a rant, and I'm not sure if it's more for me or for you, but this is going to be what it is. Um, Start with a quote. My favorite author, Maria Hornbacher, said in her book Madness, "Here's the hell of it: madness doesn't announce itself," and it doesn't. I've had a very rough couple of days, the last 2 days, with dealing with my mental health. And let me preface this whole bit of a rant with trying to put this out there. I've watched videos that are kind of like this. I've had friends who I've had discussions and listened to, blather about this stuff. Um, and one of the first critiques is no one wants to hear your whining, you're doing it for attention. That's a very fair assessment, many times. And I'm not saying that it's beyond me. Part of me is doing this for probably attention. Um, but also another piece of it is trying to draw attention, not just to me, poor me, feel sorry for me. I may be feeling that way on some level because you get stuck in your head a little, but part of it's to draw attention to the fact that um, there's a stigma attached to having serious mental health issues and concerns. There is a kind of person you think might have these kind of struggles, and it's not what you think, and it can come out of nowhere, and then it can suddenly disappear too. So it all kind of crept up on me yesterday morning. Well, I'm gonna say Wednesday night. Filmed a video Wednesday. Hopefully you saw it. And I went to bed that night, and I was tossing and turning and tossing and turning. I said in the video, too, that I had a doctor's appointment, an MD, scheduled for Thursday morning. You're going to have to forgive me. My thinking's a little scattered right now. I'm dealing with some, racing thoughts and a little bit of anxiety. So if I jump around, please forgive. So I didn't sleep, which screws with my head a little. And I woke up Thursday morning choking on anxiety. It was very difficult to even, thrust myself out of bed. I did have to work, so I was going to go in late anyway. But I got up and I was too anxious to drive the 5 minutes from my apartment to the doctor's office. I was gripped with fear that either I'd get a flat tire, the car would break down, and I felt like if either one of those things happened, I was going to completely lose my shit in the middle of an intersection or something. So to avoid that, I walked. It was a mile and a half to get there. I put on my headphones and just tried to, keep it moving, keep it moving. So I get there, and it was a little damp that morning, so I'm a little sweaty, a little nasty, and go to the reception desk. And I'm getting pissed while I'm there. I'm getting increasingly agitated on top of being anxious as I'm going. And talking to the receptionist, they're talking to each other, the two receptionists, and neither one looks up to look at me. Because don't they know who I am? This is where I'm starting to kind of traipse off here, because I'm not usually that self-centered, but started to feel that way. And talked to the one receptionist, and I said I have an appointment this morning at 10:05 with Dr. Whoever. And she said, I can't find your information. She looks ahead and she says, your appointment is for next week. And she kind of said it like that. And I said, well, can you double check? I'm pretty sure I got, so I'm trying to remember back. They sent an email confirmation, and I got it a week ago, and it was a week ahead. I could have swore that was the date. And she said, oh no, I think you've been rescheduled. You must have been rescheduled because it's for another week out. So I'm getting angry at this point because it was all I could do to get my ass out of bed, push past the anxiety of all of that, get myself there on foot, and then I find out the appointment's not even that day. So I'm somewhere in between thinking that she personally is trying to screw me over. Again, we're setting sail at this point. And on an emotional level, I'm feeling totally embarrassed because I'm thinking, I fucked up. I got the date wrong. I've been having a little trouble with my memory lately. I'm making lists of stuff. My desk at work has more than the usual amount of Post-its trying to keep up with things. And everything's getting done, but it's still getting away from me. Stuff is getting away from me. At home and otherwise. So I have a few snarky things to say, which she didn't deserve to get, and I leave. Now I'm embarrassed about how I acted. I'm concerned that I forgot, and then I'm still pissed at the same time that I think they might have fucked me over. Like it's a big deal. Like, you know. So I'm overreacting. I'm way overreacting. Um, I stopped to do some shopping. I like stopped to get a drink and picked up a couple of things because it was on the walk home. Um, and I'm starting to feel really like not well. So I, went back and forth and let work know that I was just having a really rough time. And that I was gonna, I think, take a day just to recoup. I get home, Mark's home. He's like, I thought it was weird that the car was here. So he's concerned with how I'm doing. And he was off, so kind of, kept it low key. But then again, last night, I was like a little bit up, down, up, down, up, down. Too anxious to get in the car again. Thinking about eating a lot. There goes the weight loss journey. It was like, be damned. So last night I ate more than I usually do. But everything kind of felt like, what the hell? Who cares? What the hell? Who cares? And then this morning again, I had texted my boss early, and I was like, I'm gonna try to get my shit together, even though I didn't really I wasn't really like rested or anything. But I was like, I always feel like guilty, and then I feel like they were right going back to work, because it's one of the things that I'm kind of proud of myself of, is that I deal with a condition that can be disabling and has been disabling to me, but most of the time with a decent amount of treatment and self-care, I'm able to suck it up and get through my days and be relatively high functioning. But I wasn't when I'm not able to do that, it sucks. So it also kind of feels like I don't like missing work, period, but then missing it because I'm having a mental health issue, hopefully not crisis, is more damaging, because then it feels like, see, you don't really have it together. You never had it together. Today is the day it all comes out. Today is the day it all comes true. Today's the day that you find out the ones who doubted you were right, and the ones who trusted you were idiots. And that's what sticks in your head. So Mark just left for work, and I'm up and I'm about. I got a shower. And it was good to turn the camera on, because my thoughts were racing around so fast that I was starting to talk to myself. Imagine it like the lid on a pot that's boiling, and it's like, sometimes I'll just talk out loud to kind of get my thoughts in order, or just get them out of my head. I'm not hearing anything, so I'm not responding to anything. It's just my own internal monologue. But it's like it cracks the lid on the pot and lets some of the steam off, so my thinking slows down. And since I was doing that, I figured, why not turn on the camera? So let me see what time we're at here. All right. I'm just going to talk till I'm done. So all that going on, it sort of feels like a setback, but I'm trying to just take it in stride. Being a person with, serious mental health issues, who walks around the house talking to themselves, who can, on a dime, out of nowhere, have a perfectly good day, a really good day. Like Wednesday was like a really good day at work, and it was a really good night. I had wind down time for myself, and then all of a sudden things just switched really fast. That gets exhausting. That gets hard to keep up with. And it's a quick stone's throw into self-pity, because kind of think, well, why does this have to be so hard? Why is this the, albatross around my neck? Other people don't have to deal with this. It doesn't run in my family. No one else I know has to deal with this. And it's like crap like that. So start to get on the self-pity bus. And there's nothing less attractive and nothing that will alienate people more than talking about how sorry you feel for yourself. So generally, even if I do feel that way, because there's a rare few of us that don't, and there's people that are a little more, I don't want to say evolved, but it's just not in their wiring to deal with like self-pity and things like that. But, I have old lingering bits of my character that just haven't gone away. And sometimes when things are hard, I start to feel like, why me? Um, Interesting spin on that was my mom told me her sister, my aunt, had some health issues in her youth, and either my mom had asked her or somebody else had asked her at the time. So this would have been like in the '60s, I guess. Don't you ever wonder why me? And my aunt said something, I guess, to the effect of, "Well, why not? Why not me?" I don't know why some of us have challenges and some of us don't. I like to say maybe some of us are built for it and some of us aren't, but it's not for me to guess who develops or is assigned or who's gifted or blessed or cursed. I don't know. I don't know where any of that stuff comes from. I don't allege to know. I'm a relatively militant agnostic when it comes to that kind of stuff. So it is what it is, though. And it's funny because people always would say, you don't look like the kind of person who has mental health issues and concerns. I've had doctors say this while I was sitting on the unit in paper pajamas, with fresh bandages. So I don't know. I had access to education and I had, decent parents who raised me well. And I had some opportunities a lot of other people didn't, I don't want to throw out the word privilege, but for someone who was pretty middle class, I still had a very privileged upbringing. When you consider that I had a solid family, dinner table every night, all of us. I used to joke that my parents had the 2.3 children and I was the 0.3. That started in my teens. So you can see where self-loathing was building at a very young age. My parents had 3 kids, raised us the same, fed us the same, and I turned out like this and my siblings turned out different. And like I said, you start to wonder, like, well, what happened? And I used to do drugs and I used to drink a lot, so I think maybe I did it to myself. But it gets kind of tiring. And it was getting tiring because when I'm well, I'm really well, and when I'm not, I'm like usually really not. So I have some protocols in place if should anything go south beyond here. Right now I'm hanging out alone. Well, Bandit's here. That's another thing to have in the house. I can pretend to be talking to the cat if I'm talking to myself. So he's here. So I do have my emotional support animal in the house. That's good. They have kind of like a crisis safety plan. I don't feel at the moment like anything's going on where I need to be seen by, like in a hospital or anything like that. The call into the doctor thing. Mark has consent to call my doctor, even if he doesn't tell me or if I don't give him permission. So I'm not sure if he has or hasn't. But he could if he did it. I know I didn't, but he could have. So I'll see if I hear from them. Then that means maybe he did. I don't know. So we'll just, I guess, see how the rest of the day goes. It's just so funny. Matt, craziness isn't always what you think. It's not always the person who's sitting outside of like Turkey Hill, who's kind of dirty and skinny and, smells like they haven't showered in a while. And they're kind of murmuring to themselves and picking cigarette butts off the ground and relighting them. It's not always what you think it is. Sometimes it's, a 30-something guy in like a shirt and tie who's carrying around his, briefcase and biting his tongue and his lip really, really hard so that while he's crossing the street, the people who are standing next to him don't realize that he's about to start talking out loud to himself, or that I'm, pretending to cough so I can hide that too. Or putting my hands under my legs because the medications I'm taking are giving me tremors. So in a meeting, I'm kind of sitting like that. It's not always what it seems. Or the bag lady, that type of perception of someone who's crazy. I don't usually throw around words like crazy or batshit or anything like that. With the folks I have the privilege of working with, whether there's a lot of language people use: client, consumer, individual, patient. It depends. The language changes constantly to be person centered, and it'll change again. Um, but it doesn't it doesn't discriminate. You can have a really nice vocabulary and a college degree and a decent job and a good family and shave regularly and be on a weight loss journey and in a lot of ways have your shit together and sometimes get totally blindsided. And that happens. Now, fortunately, when this has happened to me before, with some care and a little bit of patience, it does go away. Sometimes it needs medical intervention, sometimes it doesn't. Um, so why am I telling you all this? Well, again, I was just bumming around the house and I needed some sort of goal-driven activity to make me feel like I was doing something rather than nothing. I do good with structure, and my day is unstructured right now, but I'm also feeling kind of like I would have been a hair trigger to be around people either. So my plan was to kind of, I got a shower. I thought I would, do this and then maybe like try to cook a little or take a nap. I have some rescue medication that's good in the clutch if I need to take the edge off something and just like kind of reset the clock. I prefer not to take it because when you add that to the other 5 medications, I need to take the 6th one because all of that shit makes me tremble, makes me shake. God love him, I don't want to wake up like Michael J. Fox one day, so I try to take as little medication as possible. It's just enough to keep me this side of the funny farm. So thank you for listening if you have listened this far. I've come to no resolution. I feel slightly better just putting it out there a little bit. There's no happy ending to this video. I'm just kind of leaving this hanging there. Like I said, this will go away, this will pass, but it hasn't passed yet. So I'm even now kind of still putting on a happy face about it because I still feel a little embarrassed about my circumstances at the moment. But at the same time, I said I'm trying to in some way draw attention, to myself, but also to the draw attention to the point that this isn't any particular kind of person's issue. It could be anybody's issue. It could strike out of nowhere sometimes. Many times there's warning signs. Sometimes there's not. And it could happen to someone you love, and it's not a moral issue either. Even though I feel like I've done something wrong, I'm not deliberately, like when I was starting to lose my cool with the woman who was the receptionist, I treated her poorly. That was wrong. I didn't do it on purpose. It wasn't done with malice, but it was still rude. That doesn't excuse it. It explains it. It doesn't excuse it, though. So, there's still damage that needs to get cleaned up. If I see the same woman again next week, I will probably apologize just to clear my conscience. So, there's that piece of it, too. If there's any wreckage, I maybe wasn't well when I did it, but I still, when I'm sane, have to go clean it up. So, there's responsibility taking and those other things that go with it. And I just kind of wanted to shine a light on that too. And things will get back to normal eventually. Like I said, this'll pass. It just hasn't yet. So, if this is kind of part of your reality too, feel free to give this a thumbs up. This isn't the kind of thing people comment on usually, other than to say it's either happened to me or hang in there, and that's cool. And those things, that lets me know I'm not alone. I know I'm not, and I know a lot of people who don't leave the house and watch YouTube all day might deal with some of the same stuff. So, because sometimes mental illness can be so debilitating you don't leave the house. If that's you, I'm giving you a shout out because you're still probably doing the best you can. So that deserves it. You don't have to be out and about, trying to go save the world to have results of doing the best you can. If the best you're doing right now is getting out of bed, brushing your teeth, and sitting down and watching some videos all day, high five. Because that's better than just sitting in bed all day. If you're getting a nap because you've been up for 36 hours, congratulations on getting a little bit of sleep. It'll help later. So, that's all. Thank y'all for listening. And I'll check in with y'all soon. When this breaks, if